Cavaliers, who bounced back from we'll call it a disappointing loss in Boston with a dominating win tonight over the short-handed Pelicans. We'll keep this nice, short, sweet, and simple because there's not a whole lot to really break down from this game. The Pelicans were without 8 of their top 9 scorers. It was the ultimate rest day. Brandon Boston, they signed Alfred Payton off the scrap heap. He came in and started, but it didn't matter. The story of this game, there were two main ones. One, Ty Jerome, who went supernova in the second quarter. He had 27 points at the half. His career high for an entire game before tonight was 24. So he outdid his career high in the first half alone. In the second quarter, he was absolutely unconscious, couldn't miss. The crowd was chanting his name every time he touched the basketball. He said afterwards in the locker room, yeah, I was feeling it. It was cool. His exact quote to how the supernova second quarter felt was, quote, it felt really good. The dude is the most humble, nonchalant guy you'll ever meet, but when he's in the zone, he's playing out of his freaking mind. And Kenny Atkinson was asked, hey, you've been with Ty Jerome before in Golden State. Like, did you know he had this level of offensive game to him when you rejoined him in Cleveland? And Kenny was like, no, I didn't. Like, I knew he could play, but his shooting has been unconscious, and I didn't think he was capable of that. And maybe we have to readjust our expectations for who Ty Jerome can be in this offense moving forward. George Niang in the locker room after the game even said, hey, he was great over the summer, but it's like, he's hot, he'll cool off. And then September training camp rolls around, and he was the best player there. And it's like, can't last forever. Oh, well, you know what? We are now 17 games into the regular season, and Ty Jerome is still playing like one of the best bench players in all of basketball. When he's gotten the opportunity to start, he scored 24 points on Sunday. He scored 29 points tonight. I'm not sure if he's ready to take over a starting spot from anyone in the Cavs' current starting lineup, but hell, the dude's playing out of his mind. The other big takeaway from tonight is the first career NBA start and the impressive performance of Jaylen Tyson. And I see Jackie Rose who asked, how do we beat the Celtics in May? Well, if you can get Jaylen Tyson to play like he did tonight against better competition like Boston, then it certainly helps because Jaylen Tyson has the size, strength, and physicality to match up with some of the bigger wings on the Bostons and the Philadelphias and the New Yorks. Jaylen has played sporadic minutes so far throughout the season. Mostly garbage time. Tonight was his first real chance to showcase to the Cavs coaching staff what he could do in a more meaningful role. And how did he respond? 16 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. You can't ask for much better than that from the 20th overall pick in this draft. I asked Jaylen after the game, like, hey, Jaylen, how'd you find out you were starting? I'm always curious how teams approach having their rookies start their first game. Do they make it a big deal? Do they play it off nonchalantly? And Jaylen gave a great answer. He said, I didn't know I was starting until I walked into the building today and I saw my name on the whiteboard. And it said JT, and I wasn't sure if that was me or if it was T. Thor. Turns out it was Jaylen Tyson, and he turned out to be the right decision for the Cavs coaching staff because he played some incredible basketball tonight. Incredible basketball tonight. And what's crazy about the Cavs and what makes their start of the season so impressive is it doesn't matter who's been in the game. They all are producing. They all are producing at such a high level that even without Darius tonight, and even without Donovan and Evan Mobley playing in 20 minutes, and even without Jared Allen, who was in and out, played, I think, 22 minutes. I don't have the box score in front of me. They still dominated an NBA opponent, albeit an injured and shorthanded one, but they still scored 120 points. Every player who played for the Cavs tonight scored. JT Thor played the fourth quarter. He had 12 points. Didn't miss a shot, 4 of 4, 2 of 2 from 3. Everyone who has stepped into the floor and into a game for the Cavaliers this season has performed. And yes, you have your one-offs. Darius played not play well last night against the Celtics. Other guys have had bad shooting nights on certain occasions. Jarrett and Evan have both had performances where you're like, I wish they gave you more. But for the most part, everyone who's playing is contributing. And tonight, you saw it up and down the board. George Niang hit, I think, 6 threes. I think he started 0 for 5 from the floor, ended with 20 points and 6 threes. Funny George story. After the game, we're in the locker room talking to George, and Donovan walks behind him and says, hey, George, you tell him why you tried to fight that dude. And George kind of laughed and shook his head and said, I was just trying to defend your honor, Donovan. And Donovan chuckled and walked off. Big note for the Cavs. They played 17 games in 28 or 29 nights, depending on how you want to count it. Shout out to the Chase Down Pod for this stat. They don't play 17 more games for 43 days. Think about that. They played their first 17 games in 28 or 29 days. They play their next 17 games in 43 days. So the rest gods are now on their favor after this ridiculous start to the season. Atkinson, Jerome, Tyson, Niang, Donovan in the locker room, they all talked about just their bodies being exhausted mentally, physically, needing a few days off just to rest and recover. They haven't had a full day off since the season started. Tomorrow, they are told, do not come to the basketball facility. Stay home, rest, relax, enjoy. Friday, if you want to come in and get shots up, if you want to lift, you need to get treatment, come on in. But stay away tomorrow. You earned it. Enjoy it. So yeah, that's not the recap. It was a pretty boring game. Pelicans were just so shorthanded. They never really had a chance. The Cavs dominated start to finish. They never trailed in the game. They led by as much as 34. They ended up winning by, I think, 20-something points. But all in all, a pretty impressive performance, a much-needed bounce-back performance after the loss. Last thing, but Kenny Atkinson said post-game, these are the games that really worry me. Like, will we be locked in? Will we be able to focus, lock in, and take care of the task at hand, which is beating a beat-up Pelicans team? And his team responded in a very, very, very positive way. So all in all, it is 16-1 for your Cleveland Cavaliers. The lone loss being last night to the Boston Celtics. They don't play again till this weekend against the Raptors. Then they got a home and home with the Atlanta Hawks. So some nice time for some rest and relaxation for the Cavaliers. Recharge the batteries and get ready for this next 17-game stretch where hopefully they can go 17-0. We'll see you tomorrow on UCSS. We'll recap this game, talk some Browns and Steelers.